Welcome back to another episode of Obliterated Companion. You guys, I'm Peter. Joining me, got a special guest. We got Kevin Young, who plays Pete from episode 2. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm good. I'm good, Pete. Doing well.
Yeah. Hey, the show just came out recently. Number 3 in the US on Netflix. How's that feel?
Yeah. Pretty cool, pretty awesome. I watched it all. It was awesome. It was fun, a good, enjoyable time. Cool to see how, everything, turned out, how the story turned out and everything. I think it was just an enjoyable, fun watch.
Well, what's the reception been like for friends, for family? People seeing you on the screen. What's that been like on your phone, phone calls, text, social media?
Yeah, everybody's been, obviously like super supportive and everything. They love like the fun, you know, concept of it's almost like I like to it's like Steel Team Six meets like The Hangover in a sense. Um and they've enjoyed just how like bold it is. It's definitely like a bold a bold show. I did have one friend, he was watch he said he was watching on the plane, and he said at times he had to like maybe like pause for a bit just in case he didn't want people to get the wrong misconception or anything. But yeah, they've enjoyed it, enjoyed the fun, the action, the wackiness, and everything.
I feel episode 2 of the 8 is definitely one of the top 3 episodes where you got so much nudity. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, there's a lot that goes on. Um, I feel like since I had watched like so much of it in like succession, I'm like a classic binger. I'm just like, wow, there's just so much that happens in like every episode,
Oh yeah.
and everything. Um, but yeah, it was a fun one because like that's like the first like episode after the discovery that it was a decoy this whole time, and they're just starting to try to solve like figure out what's going on and feeling the effects and everything. Um,
Yeah.
it's like real fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, episode 2 really kicks off their misadventures, really. So, before we get into more details in your time filming on set, let's learn a little bit about you. Are you, no, so I didn't get a chance to get a deep dive. I wasn't able to really dig a whole lot, but where did you grow up?
I grew up in Orange County in Irvine. We call it the bubble, I guess. Yeah, I grew up in Irvine. I'm living in LA slash Orange County now. Just having to help out folks sometimes. But yeah, California most of my life. I went to college at UC Davis, so NorCal for a bit. But yeah.
Okay, that's so funny. Like my very first Cobra Kai interview was with Josa, and his character on Cobra Kai, like there's this discussion with Daniel LaRusso. He's like, so where are you from? Because he's Asian. He's all like, oh, Irvine, you know. So I definitely wasn't probing like, were you born in the U.S. or anything like that. The reason I bring that up is because often like growing up Asian American myself, there's always this thing where, oh, we want you to have a good job, we want you to be a doctor, a lawyer. You hear that, right? It's a trope, it's a cliche.
Right.
Was it like that for you growing up, or did you kind of have it in mind early that you wanted to get into acting?
I think my parents have always luckily been, very supportive of whichever route that I decide to go towards. Um, as far as like pursuing acting stuff, they're just like, yeah, they're supportive, but you have to be proactive about it. They want to see you like working hard, towards it and everything. As far as like the traditional side of career wise. School is always like important, of course. But I think luckily for me, like, I have an older sister, and she like ticked off lots of the boxes. Like, she's an attorney, she married a doctor, she has kids. So it's like she did all the hard work for me, I guess in a sense. Um, but no, they've always been like very cool of like just supporting us on our paths. Just trying to be good guides as best as possible and whatnot.
Yeah, shout out to a big sister. You know, you just became an uncle, so shout out to little Nisa
Yeah,
Ellie.
it's uncle now. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get that. Being because I'm the oldest of five,
Oh,
and I feel like being the oldest, we got, we took a lot of the burden off of the younger kids because I don't remember that, quote unquote pressure for my younger siblings. For me, I had a lot of long talks about like the direction of my future and things of that nature. Um, so like let's kind of go back to like when you were in high school. Was performance always a thing for you? What kind of interests were you into?
well, freshman year of high school, I played baseball. And then later on, my junior year and senior year, I had taken some like acting classes over like the summer when I was a kid. Like my mom had spoken to another family friend mom who were sending her kids to take classes over the summer at SCR South Coast Repertory down in Orange County. So I did those a little bit in the summer, but I never done like drama or any like the productions in school until my junior year. The main thing that got me into it was my first love of acting was like improv. I just loved improv, just how freeing it is and just how wacky you can be and just trying to just the I loved like the beauty of like when one person has one idea that's like over here and the other person that has one over idea that's over here, and somehow they have to make it meld, and when it like matches, like it's such like a satisfying experience, not only as the performer but as the audience. And a lot of times like seeing how you could take these two like ideas that shouldn't mix and make them mix. It's also really like funny, and I just love laughing and making people laugh. um where was I?
Well,
And
did
yeah,
you,
so that was the first time that I started taking drama classes. I did improv, did choir and whatnot. But it was always like as like a side like hobby. At that time still it was like, oh, you have to try to get into college, hopefully as good as a college as you could get into, um and try to have like a career. And
yeah.
that was, yeah.
Yeah, I
What
didn't
was
play baseball, but I also I did some acting. I did some improv, nothing where I'm confident to like go up in front of an audience. I think the closest thing I did was we did a live stream on our YouTube channel, and I did some improv with some of the younger Cobra Kai cast. And I was
nice.
playing like a casting agent, and I was having Gianni DiCenzo, who plays Dimitri. I was having him read a bunch of the lines for different characters, including Amanda LaRusso. He's like, "This is a woman." I go, "Yeah, yeah, it's fine. Just read it." And so that was a lot of fun, but I don't get to see the audience, and I think that made it easier for me, but put me like in the spotlight with a mic with the crowd. I don't know how I would do. Did you have any like early inspirations, like stand-up comedians, actors, anything like that to kind of inspire you to
Um,
kind of get into acting?
uh, I mean, comedian wise, like when I was a kid, my all time like favorites were Jim Carrey and Robin Williams. They're just like awesome, iconic, out there, you know, do it also. Those were like my comedic like um role models or heroes or whatnot. It's funny that you said like that you don't know how you do with the audience, because I feel like I want to say like when I was a kid, I had terrible stage fright. Like
Hmm.
I hated it. When I went to like Chinese school as a kid, and you had to do these like speech competitions, and I hated those. But I loved like later on, it was just like what I love about like improv and acting is like you get so focused on your partner that like it's almost like the audience kind of goes away, and then later on, getting like that external feedback. I don't know. It's either their laughter or just feeling in the room that's just like very ecstatic and whatnot.
A
So
little
maybe we
rewarding,
can give it a
right?
try one day.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
Um, so so you get into to drama and stuff like that. How like how did you
Is it
start like landing roles like after doing a lot of improv? Because I did see like you posted some improv related things where you were with a group of people. So is there like a place that you often go to, or is that like a group that you kind of travel with?
Yeah, so I had like two improv teams. One is like a short form one, one is a long form one. Um the short form one, like pre-COVID, we had a show like every month and whatnot. At the Secret Rose Theater. It's no longer there anymore, but it was in NoHo, and that was really fun. The other one, the long form one, most of us are through like UCB. We've trained at UCB, been well, some of them have been on mod teams or on the house teams and whatnot. And that one we would just perform at indie shows here and there and everything. Um, I feel like for me, like improv was just like you know about just remembering what I really love about acting. I just feel like it's always grounding and always like really fun. As far as like getting roles wise, I feel like that's such a hard question because I feel like there's no like cookie cutter, answer. I just feel like um, one of the biggest things is like just persevering and having tenacity, and eventually you'll make the right connections or you know be put in a good place for a certain opportunity, and I feel like if you've done like the work um ahead of that, then you give yourself the best chance to play the role or whatnot. But yeah, I think just the biggest thing is just being tenacious and being like open, um in the sense of like um I want to say, like, for me, I always try to like, no matter what people like tell me or say to me, I try to like take it in and think about it, and try to process it and not just like, disregard it. Like I feel like any teacher or something, if I'm going to your class or something, you know, I'm gonna just try to be a sponge and take in whatever you say, and then afterwards, then I'll filter out like maybe what works more for me or resonates with me. But yeah, I don't know if that's that's a good answer to your question, but that's
I
what
think
I
you kinda
got.
answered some other questions I was gonna ask, just kinda like, I mean, it's perseverance. I mean, clearly you have a drive, right? And you just kinda go for it when the opportunity arises. So, speaking of opportunity, everything I've learned so far from you, you spent, a lot of your time, like, in, California, right, in general. And Obliterated filmed in, Albuquerque and also, in Vegas. Like, so how do you land, a part Pete? So was there like a casting call? Can you talk about like the casting, what they were looking for in your character, and how you booked that role?
This one was they were actually auditioning. I got two. It was like there was like 2/3 kind of roles that like went out at the same time that they were auditioning for. One was for I think his name is Mr. Chen, who's the one of the crypto buyers. There's that.
Okay.
There's the guy who like on the bus talks to Ava when they're first getting kicked out, and then the role that then Pete. Um, so those were like the ones that I was able to like audition for, and for that party bus one, it was like They're just looking for, like if I remember like the breakdown, just like a guy who's like so he kind of like hits on Gomez, but it's like that's not his like regular MO. It's like he's got enough liquid courage in his system to to try to like sort of make a little bit of a move. Um so it wasn't like, like a douchebag like frat dude, even though like the shirt that I'm wearing is pretty it was like it has that vibe to it. Um but that was like kind of like the feel that from the breakdown that they said like they were going for. Which I feel like in a sense lends itself to my personality in a way. Like sometimes, default wise, I'm not the most like outgoing person. Like sometimes I'm a little bit more reserved. Um but my like more like true essence and then that comes out more if I've had some alcohol is a lot more like out there and whatnot. Um so I guess I feel like I just tried my best to like present myself um in that role and I feel really glad and honored that they gave me the chance to play Pete.
Yeah, I think it's a really funny role, just because this character, he just finds himself in the middle of all this madness, right? We were talking about how episode 2 is the first episode after they find out that the real bomb is still out there, and what can possibly go wrong? How about a guy passed out in the party bus that they happen to commandeer, right? So before we get into like your experience filming on set, let's break down the character of Pete a little bit. Covering John, Josh, and Hayden for as long as I have, I know that every character they have, big or small, they always have a backstory for it. So I'm not sure if they shared anything with you, if you can share that, if they did, but if not, anything that you kind of what kind of background did you give Pete? Did you give him a backstory and leading up to like where we find him?
Yeah, outside of like what I knew of from like the breakdown and the sides, like I didn't get more info from that. Um, but as far as for me, because it was like a yeah, it was like a party bus with a bunch of like Asian dudes or whatnot. And in my mind, actually, it was like when I was auditioning for it, it was like a little bit different from then when I saw like on set and stuff. I was like, oh, okay. I was thinking it was more um like I like some of my friends who work in more like um how I want to describe more like corporate
Oh,
jobs and
okay.
stuff. Like some of them, like some of my friends, like they work in corporate jobs and they work really hard, but they party really fucking hard at the same time. And that was like kind of like in my mindset of like they were in Vegas, so then that was like them kind of like going hard, blowing off steam or whatnot.
This was
Um
more like maybe like a birthday party or maybe like a bachelor party kind of because it's mostly guys, or it's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I was thinking, yeah, it was either a bachelor party or a birthday party. Um, yeah, it was all dudes. Not
yeah,
even
yeah.
mostly. It's all dudes. So,
So, so would you say he was like passed out from drinking? Was he tired? How did we find him underneath like pillows and stuff?
I think Pete is like a little bit more of a lightweight.
Okay.
So, I wouldn't say that it took him too much to get there. But he probably had his fill. And I'm not gonna lie, the back of that bus is very comfortable. And the sex dolls actually make very nice pillows. So I
It's
can
good to know.
understand how like, if you're a bit inebriated and you take a seat back there, how you could want to take a little nap or
Sure.
whatnot. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the night of filming, but the few times that I've visited Vegas, often coming from Portland, Oregon, where it's already cold, I can walk around 55-degree weather at night with shorts and a t-shirt on, and I'm fine. Often people are like, "Look at this idiot," but like I'm used to the cold, so if it was warm that night, I can totally understand being really comfortable. Um, I do like the idea of like Pete being kind of not too dissimilar from the character of Paul, kind of button up, doesn't really party. And so it's like, okay, I'll go to Vegas, sure, why not? I'll have a good time. And then he's like, I need a shirt to fit in, right? And like this is the first shirt that he finds. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that shirt. It's mine if I lick it. I think is something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Did you get to keep that by chance?
No, I didn't get to keep it, but it was yeah, it was awesome sure they were going through a few options during the fitting, and that one just like that one just like fit. And I love like, like it's like very out there, which is like I feel like great and totally kind of like what you said of just like, oh man, like Pete isn't like a big time partier, but he's like trying to like get into that zone. So I feel like in his mind, he probably thinks, it's like just like a cool statement, and probably is like the like douchebag part of the statement probably flew over his head, and probably attracted to the colors of it. Um, but yeah, it was kind of funny too, like Allison, she didn't film that scene with us, but she had scenes later in the day, and we have like a mutual friend. So when I met her, at first she actually thought that shirt was actually mine, and I was like, "Oh no, this is my this is Pete's shirt or
So,
whatnot." Um,
yeah. If,
yeah,
for the listeners at home, Allison Gorski plays Lana. Yeah, for those that like I know there's often people who are like, "Oh, you guys use names casually," and so I tried when I remember. Yeah, Allison plays Lana, aka Anastasia.
yeah,
I
Luke's
believe
wife.
is the other name. Yeah. So look, guys. I mean, the show's been out for a little bit now, and this by the time this episode comes out, like everyone should have finished and known the spoiler by now.
Yeah.
Um, so what are some other things you can share from the day of filming? Whether on or in front of camera, or I'm sorry, behind or in front of camera. You mentioned improv. Was everything? I'm assuming most things were on paper, but did you guys were given any leeway to kind of improvise anything?
Yeah, yeah, we were. Actually, honestly, it was such like a fun, experience. And I really treasured it because, like, I was fortunate enough that like my scene, on the bus, I got to work with pretty much all of the series regs and everything, and leads, and they were all just, you know, super awesome, and made me feel like, one of them, even though, I was like the new kid just like coming in. um and Paolo was great. The She plays Gomez. We we worked on some like a little like kind of like small improvisations that didn't uh mostly didn't get end up getting used, but it was just fun to like work with her and be in that mindset of like, let's just, try to like create. There's like one part that we did was like when I forget her name, but when the Russian spy girl lady pulls out the
Oh,
RPG and
Sharonda.
whatnot, and you see that I reach for her hand, and
Yeah,
like the explosion goes off, and it's
brace
just like,
yourselves.
oh, like what the fuck, And Pete is just in that moment, just like stunned, like tiger gripped on Gomez's hands, and then I just like slowly like peel off, and she just gives me like a little pat, like you're okay, Pete, kind of like stuff like that. We did. There was some times when I asked her for her number, and she's just like, no, 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 just leave. And I was like, okay, all right. but yeah, like everybody was just like, yeah, super fun. It was just great to film those scenes together. And they were really open to ideas on set. Like there was one idea of like as I'm walking up before Trunk stops me, and Haggerty's there with his like major like hard on. Like maybe I like slip and actually my hand accidentally like and I'm like, oh god, like there was like ideas of like I feel like they're very open to like playing on set. I think, looking back, I think, I could have even tried more things that they would have been, open to. But yeah, everybody was just, I think, just ready there to play. Like one of the things that they worked out sort of like on set was the point where Haggerty falls on Ava and his
Yeah,
his uh his boner is like in her face,
yeah,
and it was just so fun being on the sound stage and watching them put that together, and like Shelly's commitment to those moments, like those screams were like so great. Yeah, it was just overall just like a fun experience. I'm sure like, and I know like from hearing my like everybody just had a great time creating the whole project.
yeah, yeah. It looks great. it is definitely one of the funniest sequences. You mentioned the big boner by Ava's face because she had fallen over, so he falls on her. Yeah, just
Yeah,
everything with Haggerty in that moment. It's just complete chaos on that bus. It's something. I think it would have been really cool if we saw like Pete one last time at the end, just to kind of help them out one way, like if I don't mean Trunk didn't need any help, but like I'm just spitballing here, right? If Pete was able to show up at one point, and like help Trunk in the kitchen, right, where he's fighting everybody,
oh
you know,
yeah,
he just gets like one lick in, and then Trunk's like, oh yeah, man, thanks, and just to kind of like call back to when he's all like, you tell anybody that you saw anything here, I'll find you and kill you, or whatever the line is. It's just a fun character, a little side character who's like a guy who just went to Vegas just to have a little party, but then ends up like in the middle of like just some
yeah, I totally
craziness.
agree. I mean, I would love like, yeah, it would have been so fun. Any like callbacks of running to the him in the casinos, or yeah, any time with Trunks and just I haven't said anything and just try to like leave, or they're running with like Gomez and stuff of, you know, 'cause in Pete's mind, like she's, you know, it was just like wow, like I woke up from this drunken stupor, and then there's this angel, in front of me. Yeah, and yeah, any of that would have been like super fun. I loved like the other in the show, the other callbacks. Um, a lot of the people that you see in the hospital when
Yeah.
Maya wakes up, like, those are really fun, and everything.
Was Pete there?
No, mm-mm.
Oh, okay. I know, I know. I was gonna say because yeah, it's a wonder, and then we saw yeah, everybody, because I was like, wait a minute, no, because Pete didn't get injured, so but
No, no.
yeah, but that would have been a nice callback too, because I thought that's also one of those hilarious because just because by that point I think that's episode 7, for someone like Charlie, you probably already kind of forgotten about her, the DoorDash driver. Then
Well,
you
that
see
was
her
great.
again.
Yeah, I love that her trying to going to the hospital from her the nacho injury and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we get ready to wrap up here, is there anything else you could kind of think of behind the scenes or on the day of filming you want to share?
Um, I don't know. That's so tough. I just think that yeah, it was just I mean, I already said this a bunch of times, but just like a really fun, experience. Like everybody was just like so, on game and ready to play, and have fun. And I really appreciate them, you know, feeling making me feel real welcome, and like part and there to like create and everything. Um, yeah, it was just really exciting. You know.
Yeah, hey, maybe we'll see him again. With the season two. Who knows? You
Yeah, who
know,
knows? I'll be
yeah,
drunk anywhere or
yeah.
passed out anywhere on
We
the
we
next
we-
one.
we've seen crazier things with I don't know if you remember the TV no the movie remake of Get Smart, and they did a spin-off. I think it was like Bruce and Lloyd or something. It was just like two techies that they decided to do a movie on based off of these two guys from this other movie. So who's to say that we can't see Pete in a spin-off with like his buddies, finishing the night away in Vegas.
Yeah, we got more parties to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Kev, thank you so much for your time. If you welcome the interaction, do you want to give out any social media accounts people can follow you at?
Sure. My Instagram is Kev the Young. Um, yep, that's it.
That's pretty much it. All right, and I feel you have at least a post there with like, your T-shirt on there that people can check
Yeah,
out. Yeah, yeah, maybe some more on the way. Who knows? But the show is out now. I'm definitely keeping an eye out on all that stuff. So, for anybody that doesn't already follow me, you can find me on Instagram at Obliterated Companion or Companion Network for links to all the other accounts, all the television shows that I cover as well. That's gonna do it. I want to thank Kevin again for joining me
thank
for
you.
an interview, and thank you all for your support. And I'll see you guys next time.